How change is changing. Where I start with all that is looking at the backdrop. Okay, what's the macro environment? What's going on? How is the stage set? And we've all heard of VUCA now. It's okay, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. That environment is there for all businesses. And we also have the notion of new power, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about if that notion is new to you. So new power is about how formal and hierarchical power is now giving way to power that's associated with technology and social capital and people who can influence in very different ways. And we will take a closer look at that. The other thing that's going on that's really helpful to know is for a long time we've heard about the future of work, the future of change management. And I say to people, stop talking about the future already, it's here. Okay? Because if we keep saying it's the future, we're really abdicating responsibility and sense of urgency to do something right now. We're saying, oh, we'll worry about that when, when robotics comes into our business. Or we'll worry about that when that happens. And I'd like to actually work with the notion that the future is now. So if someone says to me, will you come and do a talk about the future of change management? I go, I'd rather not. Can I frame it a little bit differently, like change is changing? New power. New power was popularised by a book by the same name. It was written by Jeremy Hymans, who's Australian. I love saying that. Jeremy Hymans is Australian. His co-writer, Henry Timms, is from New York. Jeremy's got a really good TED talk called What New Power Looks Like that he did in 2014, and then their book was published in 2018. And their notion is that power is now a lot more distributed, and it is this globalisation and this digitisation that's really driven that new power. And we know now, I don't need to introduce those photographs, do I? I will talk about the one on the bottom though. But people now have a lot of power and social capital independent of title and money. Once upon a time you would have expected it was the Bill Gates who was doing all the donations, or a large corporate doing a lot of stuff. Now, let's go back to the bushfires. I'm going to do a little bit of a poll, very casual poll. It'll be show of hands, no high tech required. Before the bushfires, how many knew or what the AFL was, the Australian Football League? How many had heard of the AFL? I'd say probably nearly everyone. Before the bushfires, how many knew who Celeste Barber was? About half. Okay, so after the bushfires, just immediately after, Celeste Barber raises 52 million and the AFL raised 2.5 million. Now that's not an indictment on the AFL, I'm just drawing a comparison now with social capital and social power. They've both done a great job. But that's just to give you an idea of how social capital works now in the new world of new power. What that means for us as change practitioners or in the workplace is that we engage differently now because power isn't always with people who've got a title or the corner office. So that's shifting. So we're going to look at that. So it means that we're going to lead differently, think differently, learn differently, and deliver change differently. My first change job, I was given a Gantt chart with a list of artefacts. No questions asked. Here's what the change person done. Here's when you have to do them. And you have to report red, amber, green if you've done them or not, or how you're tracking with them. And there was really no correspondence entered into, and I didn't have the confidence either because I was fairly new. But that was when change was done in a very planned way, in a very waterfall way, with a list of artefacts to deliver. And there was very much, until very recently, there was very much a push on one way, same way. We have one change framework, we do change the same way across the organisation, regardless of the change. So it's all very professional and very slick. And I've been in organisations where I've actually designed change frameworks that did this, because it was at that point in time, it was the right thing to do. What it means though is, what happens when you let go of something that's safe? What happens when we let go of something that has served us well for so long? This is what we do. We can have a hissy fit, but we can also focus on principles, not formula. So if you have a good set of principles that you have designed or co-designed with your change team or your project team, or even like a little contract with yourself, you will be okay. And those principles can be things like, I will make sure that I right-size my change effort for the change that I'm working on rather than overcooking it. I will try more experiments as long as I keep my stakeholders involved with what I'm doing, that I'm trying things out, so I'll manage their expectations. So if you come up with a set of change principles or principles, you will feel more comfortable moving away from that formula. And we've done a lot of work, Jen and I have done a lot of work with change teams and leadership teams working out their own principles, because they know that our formula doesn't work anymore. The environment is too nimble, it's too adaptive, and to work with responsive change rather than planned change in a VUCA environment with black swan events fraught with new power, you need to do things differently. And Richard Feynman is one of my favourite physicists from way back. He's got some fantastic quotes.